Welcome in. All right. I think we've got everything hidden that doesn't need to be seen on stream. How is everybody tonight? I know I unmuted. I wouldn't have if I hadn't said something right beforehand, though. It is guaranteed that I would have forgot to do that. Yeah, so tonight we're going to take the peanut butter and jelly sandwich and we're going to make it something fun for chat. We're going to do something that we haven't done so far that I remember. Maybe we have. Have we done imports? No, we have not done imports. So we're going to import some libraries into our new Python thing. We are going to import a class from the main.py, our sandwich class. And then we're going to build a Firebot command. So we'll be able to see all of this going on. Feel free, ask questions. You know how I am. I like to answer questions. But other than that, if it's okay with everybody, I am going to put on a little bit of music. Hopefully quiet enough that doesn't pop in. So let's start with any changes that I made off of stream. The only thing I did this go around in between stream was add the Flask package because we are going to use that to serve our API. API is an application programming interface. We must all sit here in silence. Well, the worst part is you guys are still sitting in silence other than me. If you'd like, I can add the Spotify source real quick so you can hear what I'm listening to. I said I can do that. Sweat it. What exists? It's not hard. Just do that. Do you hear light music? So now that we're going to be importing libraries, you'll start to actually no longer have a future use in the requirements. So what the requirements do is if I was to create this application on my local computer, put it in a source versioning tool, so GitHub, Bitbucket, whichever one you use. Me putting this in makes it where you can install the packages much easier. You don't have to figure out which ones I used. You just install from the requirements, and that will allow you to have basically the same packages that I had. So first thing we want to do is actually build out our requirements.txt. And to do that with Python, should, not will, should. We're going to do a pip freeze. And if we were to just do pip freeze, it'll print out all the packages that I have installed. But we don't, that does no good. That helps nobody. Oh, I might have just changed something. So what we want to do is a redirect. Nothing is guaranteed. Agreed, where it's computers were a mistake. So we're going to do a pip freeze, and we are going to send this to our requirements. You'll see here, if you can see my mouse, the little greater than sign that causes a redirect. In this particular case, this redirect with a single greater than sign overwrites anything that was in the file before. So to show what that would look like, we'll just type some randomness. John, how you doing? Thanks for the lurk. And can I get a shout out roadside first? Papa. Thank you. On it. On it. I don't know why I even think that I have to ask that. But yeah, so as you'll notice, we put a bunch of, we'll just call it placeholder text because that's much nicer than what I normally call it. Once we hit this, we're going to hit enter. It's going to overwrite all of what we just did. And as you can see, so these are the packages that I'm using. You'll see Flask, Jinja 2, which is a templating language, Markup Safe, another type of templating, Colorama. Honestly, I don't know why Flask insists that has to be there. Click, same thing. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one, but that is what allows us to use this as a HTTP server. So the next thing we want to do is, in our API file, anything that's .py is going to be something run by Python. We actually want to import Flask, and there's a couple of different ways we could do this. We could just do import Flask, and that'll import our whole library. We're not going to use our whole library, so why do that? We're going to import something very specific from Flask. And we're importing the Flask class, which is going to allow us to use our object-oriented programming that we learned about to create a Flask app. And Roadside's over here wishing I was doing Django, I can guarantee it. But we're not going to do that because I don't like Django. To be fair, Django is better for bigger applications. Flask is, when we're building something as small as this, we don't need to go through the whole setup process of a Django. If I was doing something like a full web service, I would probably use Django, even though I'm not a big fan of it, just because it is a little more powerful and more power, better service, better database connections. We can do database connections here, but we're not going to. PyCharm does have a Django extension that lays the groundwork for me, but you still have to go through all of the setup part with Flask. To give you an idea, let's do app. We're going to use something that you haven't seen too much. This is called a decorator. To give you an idea of why I like Flask, if name equals name, we could actually do this properly. Run. Let PyCharm do our pip8 for us, and I can go in here now and I can do Python API.py, and I have a Flask server. If I open this up, that's why I like Flask for quick, simple projects. That's all it takes to get a web server up and running. Again, Django, there's a little bit more setup, but for that setup, it is much more powerful. So again, if I was doing like a full web service, definitely going with Django over Flask. Well, I may not, just because I'm so used to working in Flask, but I would recommend to anybody else to go with Django. But yeah, so basically what we have done is we've created a web server. We can do other things here. We could do we could actually put HTML right here. Well, that's nice. I don't think I need that though, there, guy. Thank you, Roadsack. Appreciate that. But yeah, so one problem we have when we're doing this, and actually we're going to fix that in just a second. Your mod icons disappeared? That's no fun. We reload this web server. Now if we go to this website, now we're actually rendering HTML. I mean, I thought that was pretty fast. So no complaints on my end. One thing we're going to do while we're actually working in here, we are going to set a couple of parameters. Debug is going to be true. And we're going to keep the standard port, standard host. Yeah, so the reason that we want to do this, if we do Python API.py, we go here, we have nothing. Now we don't have to reload. We can go here, refresh our page. Now we don't have to stop the application every time. It just makes life a little bit easier when you're testing a bunch of things. So the next thing we're going to import is from main import sandwich. And we'll get to why we're doing that in a minute. So let's talk about what APIs actually do for us. So when we use a website, if you watch the web series, the very beginning one, we make a request to a server, which returns HTML, CSS, Jinja, whatever source code we're using. And that is how we get what we see here. You know, if we click here and no Mississippi, Missouri, whichever one it was, I am not hacking right now. This is not hacking. We can actually look at exactly what our browser is seeing. I thought you'd like that, Roadside. Now, unfortunately, people like to do this wonderful minify crap, which makes it harder to read. But if I wasn't in a container, I have plugins that will fix this for me. Welcome in, Sanix. How are you doing? But yeah, so again, just to repeat what we're saying, viewing page source is not hacking, despite what some states may think. But yeah, so that's what happens. We are rendering some HTML, some source code of some sort when we go to a website. What an API does is instead of having to render something, we get a return value. Normally, if JSON, we can return anything we want. We're going to return text on this API because I don't feel like doing a bunch of JSON things in Firebot when we get to that part. To give you an idea of what this looks like, because this is going to take a minute to build out to where it's actually fun, Roadside, since you are here, I'm going to ask your permission since this API was built for you. Do you mind if I pull up this code for your Fast Trivia API? Go for it. Give me 1 second. We're going to go to a Be Right Back screen because, again, there are projects in here that I don't need being shown on Twitch. Actually, we'll just do this. You guys can look at Google for a few minutes. All right, so this is an API that was built for Roadside. As you know, Roadside is a Phasmophobia main on Twitch. Welcome in, Sassafras. How are you doing today? And what this API does is, through Firebot, we can the one you're looking at right now is the locations of all of the cursed objects in FAS based on the map. You're using Python dictionaries, which we covered a little bit about. So you can see the Ouija board is in the master bedroom closet on Grafton. And to give you an idea of what this looks like, because I do have this command still set up, if you are in Roadside's chat, we can do a command sort of like this, and you'll get a response back. And what's happening is we're making an HTML or an HTTP request to this API, which is hosted on a server in this house, and it's sending back some text. In particular, this is the text that it's sending back. The object, if it is tarot cards, are located. If it's anything else, is located. Gives us the locations, map.capitalize, and it builds out the text string you see in the chat. Well, not the text string you see in the chat right now, because exactly, Roadside, thank you. That is the location endpoint. To show you what all of that looks like. So we have two different routes. We have, oh, this one's going to be fun. We're just going to minimize all that. The one that I was calling originally, the trivia, is this particular endpoint. So it's slash this. I'm going to pull over Firebot for a minute once I get to the commands, so that you can see how this works in Firebot as well. Maybe. We'll see. Thank you, Sassafras. It's like I tell everybody, coding is muscle memory. And once you do it a lot, I think this endpoint, other than the facts, probably took me an hour to build. And that's why I've been doing this a long time. So I forget sometimes that. Yep, have a good luck, Roadside. So this is what's happening on the back end. We're making a call to a domain /trivia. And then we're creating an announcement. The announcement's taking in a variable that is the HTTP response from that call that we make. That is the Firebot backend. This is the server backend. This is how we build out the text string. And basically what we're going to do from here, I'm going to open up the peanut butter and jelly sandwich project again, and we're going to build the same thing, except for this time the chat will be able to build their own peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So I have trouble with both of those. So for me, knowing R and SQL is impressive, especially SQL, because in my line of work, we focus a lot on web apps and SQL injection. So if I was a little bit better at SQL, I'd probably be a little bit better at my job. Gonna let you look at Google again for a second. And let's bring this project back up. But yeah, so now we've seen kind of a completed API. One of the things we always want to build, or we want to focus on when we're building APIs like this. Actually, I'm going to do something because I don't want to be fumbling around too much. I think we need a couple more inputs. Yeah, we're going to need request as well. And I'll explain what that part of that is in a few seconds. Yeah, if it's beyond select star, I'm pretty much lost. I have a lot of cheat sheets for SQL that I use when I'm testing for SQL injection, just because I don't know how people memorize that particular language. I don't understand it at all, especially when we're testing for time-based SQL injection. So we're basically causing a wait, and based on the wait, I can tell if I actually affected the endpoint. So for you SQL people, just so you know, that's something you always want to look out for. If you start seeing a lot of weird wait stuff coming through to your database, it's probably somebody trying to hack you. All right. We no longer need this route. We are going to do sandwich. Why didn't that work? Nothing wants to work today. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay. Computers were a mistake. Yeah, we don't have to. Okay. So the first thing we're going to want to do is kind of look at how we're building the sandwich. So we're going to go back to here where we actually build the sandwich. And we're going to look at the class that we're doing. So we know we're going to need... Hi, Danny. Welcome in. Let me let that walk-in sound finish. How are you doing, Danny? Why didn't that work? Yes, normally, if I'm coding, I'm wearing a shirt that says the code worked or the code didn't work. Why? The code worked. Why? Because half the time it doesn't work when I expect it to. The other half it works exactly works when I don't expect it. It's crazy. So yeah, Danny, I'm doing really well. I'm doing a lot better than I have been the past couple of days. And thank you for asking. I do appreciate that. And I'm glad to hear you're doing okay. I just hope that you're doing better than okay, and that okay is just the word you chose. So, first thing we want to do is figure out how we're going to build this sandwich in HTML. So one of the things we're going to talk about, even though there is a stream that I did, probably my second stream, that kind of explains how URLs are built, we're going to talk a little bit more about it today, because it's very applicable to what we're going to do here. So we're going to make some comments. Red pieces, PBJ, PP type, J type. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be talking a lot for the next couple of seconds because I'm trying to read. And obviously talking affects my reading. How? I don't know. All right, so all I'm doing is making a comment to try to make sure I don't have to keep doing what I'm doing, going back and forth. If anybody is ever inclined to use PyCharm, the way that I'm switching back and forth between the windows is using Control Tab, just like you would in a browser. It just makes life easier. I don't like to touch my mouse any more than I have to because that's time off keyboard. Um, and here we are going to do our normal constructor. And I'll explain why I'm changing this up a little bit in just a second. This here. We'll neaten the code up because nobody wants to look at ugly code. So now, because we're going to be making an HTTP request, the easiest way to do this is going to be using HTTP parameters. So when we look at a website or a URL, so for example, google.com, we have a couple of different things that we see. We have our HTTPS. This is known as our protocol. That can be HTTPS, that can be HTTP, that can be a couple of different types of protocols. Most of the time when we're talking about web things, we're going to be using HTTPS or HTTP. The only difference between the two is one sends encrypted, which is the S, one sends non-encrypted or in clear text, which is just HTTP. The next section of the URL that we have is the subdomain. Most of the time, the subdomains we're used to seeing as normal users is www. Other common ones are dev, API. We're just going to stick with those. After that dot, we have the actual domain. So that is when we see Google. That is when we see How are you doing, Ace? Welcome in. Fair. I don't know that I actually use www for any of my domains anymore. But, you know, in this particular case, we're going to be using Purple Hacks, I think. We can look at Firebot and tell. And when I'm looking weird directions, I've got 4 monitors with a bunch of different things happening, so excuse how much my head switches and pivots. It's been more than 2 days since I messed with this. I don't remember how any of the... wow. I didn't even switch that one to a domain. This one's a domain. I know this. That would have been wrong. So this is the particular domain that we're using. Then you have the TLD, your .com, .org. We're not going to go too far into that particular part. In between this, sometimes you'll see something funky. You'll see a colon and some numbers. That is your port number. So, for example, if I am hosting my server on port 8080 instead of the normal port 80 for HTTP, we could build out a domain that goes colon 8080, which is what we're going to do. So, and speaking of not using subdomains at all, oh, did I put it? Oh, yeah, I've got that backwards. And yes, you are 100% correct. I think. Yes, it goes after the TLD. Which is why I had it where I had it, or why I put it in the order that I did. And then I screwed it up anyway. Thanks, Ace. Actually, I really appreciate that. And no, it cannot be both. It does have to come after the TLD. So we are going to be using... Do I still have that? No. Sorry. Cut and paste. Have a good lurk, Sassafras. Yeah, I've never tried it, but I have to assume that it does not work. Because the URL is going to build itself. Yeah, it shouldn't work. We'll go with probably not. I am using .com, right? Yes. Yeah, the internet is a weird place. Most people will never even have to use the actual port thing unless they're doing dev work. So this is going to be the endpoint that we're sending things to. The internet is a weird and dangerous place if you're not careful. So in our URL, the next thing we have is our endpoints, which is what we're defining here. And then after that, we're going to have something called parameters. So a parameter for this could be bread pieces equals, and if we need to add more, we're going to do an and sign. And the next one we would do is bread type equals, and PB type equals, and we're just going to build out a parameter for each one of these things that we need the information from. PB type, J type. Say I don't like to touch my mouse and then I'm sitting here messing with the mouse. J type. Actually, put all these nice notes and then I forget what I'm doing anyway. Trust. No. Alright, so now we're going to use our request that we imported. And what that's going to do when we build this URL in our HTTP request through Firepot, we're going to actually pull everything that was in these parameters that we're showing and use that to build our sandwich. So to do that, we want to do args, yes. Here. Ah, no. So this is actually an external domain. What the domain is, I built an API for Roadside. Um, it is hosted here, sent through my firewall, as you know how all that part works, Ace. But yeah, it is an actual purchased external domain. You could actually go to https colon forward slash purple Faz trivia, which I have a typo here, I think. I do. Interesting. Do I have Whois on this one? No, I don't have Whois. Were you using my typo or were you using the actual? So here's the actual. Uh, 8080 slash as true. Yeah, is that what I put it as? No, that doesn't feel right. Hold on. Oh, slash trivia. Do I have this broken? Purple. I think I put the typo into the chat. Interesting. Well, now I want to know what's going on. But yeah, it should be externally routable if I would actually stop having typos. Ah, gotcha. Am I a robot though? I mean, define robot. Don't fail me now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. See if I doxed anything on myself. Yeah, now you know where I live. Yeah, I don't know why I have that typo every time. but it is guaranteed. I bought the domain and still put the typo in. Nerds.get. Hey, love them. They make my life easy, and honestly, their customer service was amazing. So I had during a move, I lost a security key, and the amount of work I had to do to get my multi-factor turned off, but the amount of helpful they were was it was fantastic. I will forever use them to purchase domains because of that. Yeah, super responsive. 24 hours of work, but to be fair, that's a lot better than a lot of the places that I've used for something like losing a whole security key. They responded within 5 minutes to every ticket response that I sent. You would think after typing this 8 times that I wouldn't have to think about it. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I could pull up those. I had to rebuild this computer recently, so no, I don't have Postman anymore. I gotta get that back on here. I use that a lot for work. Oh yeah, I feel that. I use this particular desktop for a couple of different things. Probably things I shouldn't use them. We won't talk about that, but yeah. Soup sandwich. Um, but I also use it a lot for side work. So I keep, tools of my trade, Burp Suite, Postman, things like that on it. Normally in a VM though. Here. Here. HTTP. Now for this part, we are not going to use the actual API or the actual domain. And the reason we're not going to do that is I don't want to have to pull up the server and put it on there. So we're going to use a tool called ngrok. Basically, this opens a firewall up. You could actually go to this in your browser right now, which we are going to do, just to see if this is actually going to work. So if I go here and I go to /sandwich, we're going to get a type error. I expected that because we haven't actually built anything yet. And I also put a typo here. We don't need that. Now we're just going to get a weird response. What have I done here? Oh. What are we returning with that? Yeah. I don't know why it's breaking. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Yeah. Like, why is this again? Why isn't this code working? And when it does work, I'm gonna wonder why it's working. It's the true software development lifecycle. Did I really just do all that for nothing? God bless. Yeah. Yep. Because the font's not big enough to actually diagnose the problem. Equals. No. Yes. Okay. And now we get the joys of stack trace. Welcome to my world, Chip. I'm confused too. This should be working and it's not. Let's do some good old-fashioned debugging, i.e. print things until we figure out what's broken. So, Chip, what we're doing is figuring out why I'm breaking my code tonight. No, what? Right now I'd like to be better at Python because I really don't understand why this isn't working. Passing? Where is it getting the idea that it's getting 3 positional arguments? It shouldn't be getting 3 positional. It's saying that I'm giving 3 positional arguments when the only one is required. Given. Oh, nice. Yeah. Then welcome in. Yeah, we're doing some fun API work with Python today, and I am breaking everything, and I don't know why. So serve sandwich. If we build a sandwich object, serve sandwich should return this string, which is what I want to send back as a response from the API. So we're calling that method. But oh, you said where? Why? I read why. Sorry. I am calling serve here. Hi, Tiny. How are you? Stop this. It's just not going to get anything. This is why I love code. It's working. It works right there. There's our response that we should be getting back. Oh no. Restart it. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, no idea. Tiny, I'm sorry I missed your message. I'm doing great. Other than, yeah, and what's weird is when I had that there before, it was complaining that it's not subscriptable, which we love Python. We absolutely love Python. All right. Oh well, it works now. So now for the fun part. Let's build this out where you guys can actually use it. Because we're done with that part of the API.
No more rhymes now, I mean it. Anybody want a peanut?
Welcome in, Bibbidi. And I agree, Python can be very, very mean. And yes, Ace, 100%. Absolutely weird. There are times where I really wish that I spent more time with actual typed programming languages. But I'm glad you like it. Oh. All right. So we're going to build a custom command. And I'm going to have to eventually involve the ducks, or Nixie is going to do mean things to me. We want an HTTP request. Fair point, Ace. Fair point. If I start, I will tell you what. When I start learning Rust, I will make sure to stream the first 2 weeks of it, because that's about how long I'll last before I just remind myself that there's no reason to mess with Rust at all. And we need to go to sandwich. And we're not going to do this the hard way again. Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair, Ace. We're going to use some variables here. Yeah. So it's very rare that I have to get into that low of a level, and when I do, I'm not normally a happy camper. And again, I'm going to copy this and put it somewhere where it's a little bit easier to see. But for right now, I just want to get it built out while I have it on my brain. This is going to be argument 2. 5. Lied. Yeah, I was about to say there. I actually thought about doing an x86 ASM stream, and then I realized I'd like to keep you all around for a little while, and I changed my mind on that real quick. Changed my mind on it very, very quickly. Because if you want to hear me cussing, putting in any assembly is a great way to get that accomplished. I still have to write it at work, Ace. And I'm going to say right now, every time I have to do it, I'm miserable and I don't want to do my job anymore. That's fair. It's very fair. I like web dev. My problem is I am not a front end developer. I don't make pretty things. I just don't. I really appreciate people who do front ends stuff. Yeah, functional. I, I have a love-hate with functional programming. Most of the languages I mess with in some way, shape, or form move into object-oriented. Just because that's kind of how my brain works. Yeah, see, I don't mind the JavaScript side of it. It's anything to do with UI design that's just not for me. And again, I appreciate people that can do it, but I prefer anything to do with the back end type stuff. We're going to be careful on how we say that in chat. Now, if you want a website that looks like it was built in the early 90s, I got you. I can build one of those all day long. But the new stuff that people are doing, no. I leave that for Roadside. He's good at that stuff. Don't tell him I said that. We're actually going to take this. What I'm trying to do is put these all in a logical order. So, because as much as I don't like user design, it's something you have to think about when you're actually going to use this for users, right? Red type. There. This is Angel Fire. Ooh, wow, ding. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a while. That's awesome. It could be the video. This is why I hate Python. And I'll agree with that, Ace. This is probably not something. GeoCities, yeah, that's fun. This is not something that I would recommend for a lot of things. Mainly because I don't feel like switching languages right now. This is what I went with. And because, again, I can throw up a Flash server so fast, it made more sense. But yeah, again, even if I was doing this, if I was doing something larger than this, the very least I would do is Django. And again, we don't. Yeah, it definitely causes some headaches, and that's why I tell people, like, definitely best to use the tool that is best for what you're trying to do. When I'm building stuff like this at work, if I'm doing a Flask app for my job, it's something simple. It's literally going to capture a cookie and then send the cookie to a log file for me. So generally speaking, at work, my Flask apps take about 10 minutes to write. But there are definitely some times where it just gets super convoluted really quick to do something like this. And part of the problem is we're also including an entire other issue, which is we're building something in Firebot as well. We need a GET request. We're not going to add any headers. Outputs. I'm going to copy this variable. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. I'm missing these redeems. I got to do something to pay more attention to that. I do appreciate it, though. And yes, we are hydrating with Diet Coke because water is not here. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a they too. It seems like a they. I feel you, Tiny. I always have cold Diet Cokes here. Just because when I want a soda, that's pretty much all I drink now. Is that streaming? So we're gonna try something. Bibbity, fun fact for you. If you do decide to do that locations thing we were talking about, you can refer to this video, and this is how you would set it up. The only difference is you would use a different API input. So we're going to try something. I need to look at my order. Who in the world? Sorry, guys, I got to look at this. All right. I had a friend that's been traveling out of state, and I wanted her to let me know when she got safe. Got to where she was going safe, and she just let me know she made it. we need to look at our order again. So let's go to Firebot. And you'll see what I'm doing in just a second. We're going to see if we can break this live and in person. Right. Yeah. And yeah, Ace, I need to build the dad joke thing because that's basically my favorite thing in the world. Smooth. I hope you're enjoying the music. I'm just kind of letting it play through. I've actually stopped paying attention to it. Okay, Bailey, I get it, you're safe. Cut or no. No. Awesome, Tiny. Well, ask questions if you want, or if you just want to chill out and listen to music, that's cool too. We got bread, pieces, tight, peanut butter tight, jam, chili, tight, cut, crust, and a. All right, let's see if it breaks. Yep, it broke. Where did we break? We didn't get the request at all.
Like you, and I took an arrow in
Hi, Phoenix. All right, Firebot, what you doing? Let me copy that. I don't want to type that again. Oh, I guess it would help if I used the right command, huh? We haven't moved to the bot quite yet, but we are trying to build the Firebot part of this API, and we're about to find out, I suppose, if it works. Well, that's a good sign, and there you go. So now you can build your own peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Still a little bit convoluted of a command. Oh. Thank you, Vivity. You don't have to do that. It is appreciated. But yeah, if anybody wants to try it out, so the PBJ command will give you the repo, the one you want to use, and we'll actually get to see this break when I do this, but we want to use serve PBJ. And as you can see, we had an error, and that's because we do have to give it all of the commands. So something I would do to fix that, we would do, let's go ahead and do it. We would do try. Accept. Okay. We need to look at that again. Very nice. I see somebody just built a sandwich. And so now, hopefully, if I haven't messed this up, if we just do the command, we should get a command usage. I guess if I actually learn how to type. J. And there you go. Yep. Perfect. So at this point, we've pretty much finished up what the API would do. We've given it a little bit of user error correction. Not that users are ever wrong, but users are wrong. And yeah, it builds our sandwich for us. I'll probably leave this command just so people can play with it. Hydrate. Thank you, Phoenix. But yeah, I'll leave it so y'all can play with it. Probably in between stream, I'll actually deploy it. Actually, hold on one second. Is this a PC command? What do you mean by PC command? Ooh, good choices, Bibbidi. I like it. Oh, yeah. Ooh, good call. Chip, I forgot about this rule. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to make this work for mobile. I'm glad you said something. Thank you. We learned this in Roadside Stream Monday, actually. Yeah, what's happening is you're just seeing the command being typed and nothing actually doing anything. Because I'm using an announce and mobile doesn't like that. So instead of using an announce, something to keep in mind, Vivity, we'll go ahead and I'm going to copy that, cancel, and we're going to delete that announce, and we're going to send a message instead. All right. Ooh, oh. That's a good question. Bippity, I'm gonna steal your command because that's the easiest one to get to right this second. But if I paste this in, there you go. Can you see that now, Chip? There's some other fun things we could do. We could turn this into a point redeem. At that point, we would want to do probably random sandwiches. Maybe. I guess technically we could make it ask a couple of questions or take in arguments. Oh yeah, the follow me thing. But yeah, so yep, that's all it should do. And again, the only reason it wasn't working before, like we discovered with, yeah, my camera. If I move over here, it'll. It's done through the software of the camera. It's nothing I did. If you download the software for whatever webcam you're using, it'll have a feature like that. You just tell it to self-center, something like that. But yeah, I had to do that because I tend to move around a lot, and Roadside was telling me or letting me know that I tend to look like the neighbor from Tool Time. Phoenix, if you want, DM me the Razer camera you have, and I'll look and see if I can find it for you. That is true. It does require the NVIDIA GPU, and there's definitely some questions about it. Like if Sour Patch was to run out here right now, it would try to follow her. So not the most reliable thing in the world, but okay, I'll look it up and see if I can find anything for you. Yeah, I've actually never tried the OBS plugin. I didn't know there was an OBS plugin. Okay, yeah, look up. All right, let's see. Why didn't we get that? Oh, okay. Where did we go wrong here? PBJ. Chunky. Chip, rerun that, and after jam, make sure to put a fruit choice. Yeah, because what happened... Still kind of mad it didn't work. It probably broke on the Firebot side because it was looking for specific arguments. But yeah, the only thing you missed... There you go. Now, you should get a response back. Monkey jam, strawberry, no prostrate. I see the request. Why didn't we send something back? Give me 1 second. Oh, we did get something back. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I'm just missing things. I dream that one day I'll be cool. Today. I I have said it before, and I have an entire hour-long stream of me just screwing with sound. You didn't get anything? Yeah, that's weird because it shows in Firebot, but it didn't show in OBS. I wonder if this is just doing weird things with mobile. Let me try something real quick. I'm gonna rebuild chips and see. Yeah, I think it's doing something weird because when I copied and pasted your command directly, it had no problem with it. It's so weird. Twitch be twitching. I am going to take a quick break. I'll turn up the music a little bit for everybody. Unless it's too loud already. Okay. I always blame Twitch API. Actually, what could be happening is Firebot doing Firebot things. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put on a Be Right Back screen for just a few minutes and leave some music on for you. Does the music sound good? Is it too loud? Too soft? You don't hear music. Well, that's not good. How's that? Alright, I'm gonna put you on a Be Right Back screen. The music shouldn't break, but it might break. If it does, I'll have to fix it, but I will be right back. And we're back. Okay, let me put music back on. Because coding to music is so much better than not coding to music. So we're going to step a little bit into something else. Oh, wow. Not into that. We're going to go ahead and make this a permanent thing. We are going to go into the server that I have the FAS APIs running on, and we're going to put our code in there. 80. Suppose I should actually use this properly. Suppose you're going to be Windowsy, are you? I'm going to try to increase this size because I imagine it's pretty hard to see that. Got a little bit easier to see. So to explain what we just did, we just used the SSH, the secure shell, to log in remotely to the server that certain things are running on. We're going to... Ooh, those colors are bad for this. Yeah. 1 second, let me see if I can fix that too. Is that a little bit better on the eyes? One last thing, let's give that a little bit more size. Welcome in, how are you doing, Brian? Ooh. Okay. So this is we're in the wrong directory. This is my Discord bot. If anybody wants to join the Discord, we'll do that little shameless self-promotion thing. You're more than welcome. We've got a couple channels to talk about things that you've seen on stream, other cybersecurity, coding, all the good stuff. We have a meme channel, because you can't have a Discord server without a meme channel. Well, don't feel like you ever have to chat. Lurkers are more than welcome here. But yeah, so this is the Discord bot. If you ever want to go in and play with it, there's a bots command channel. We did a little bit of work on the Discord. Oh no. Give me 1 second, Chip, because you're not going to see that. Because it is a announcement. There you go. But yeah, so we're not going to go too far into this because this actually has my API keys in it. But we do want to go into this one. And we are going to go into our app.py. If you ever look in my channel redeems, you'll see something that says IDE list. And this is what you would be looking at if we were in that mode instead of the pretty IDE that I use normally. This is Vim. I don't know how that's working. That shouldn't be working. Whatever, it works. Oh, Ryan, you're working in PowerShell. Uh-oh. One second. We've got to go back and copy the code. So all we're going to do is copy and paste this code. All of my Flask apps are set up the exact same. Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad that I have somebody who's letting me know when things break, because I don't use mobile very often, so I didn't know any of this was a thing. So we're both learning from it, Chip. Oh, look at that terribleness. So what's happening here is the difference between Linux and Windows line breaks and such. But that's okay. We're just going to fix it. Normally we just use GitHub to do this, but because I don't want to add this in necessarily to the GitHub repos, because it's already in its own GitHub repo. If it wasn't so late at night, with this being Vim, I would have already had this done. But I'm not thinking about shortcuts right now. All right, Ace, I gotta ask you: are you a Vim or are you a Nano, or are you a VI, or Emacs? Don't say Emacs, please. Don't say Emacs. Make sure I didn't break anything. All right. So now we can go to Firebot. Go to our connects, and we're going to change the URL. First thing we're going to do is edit this. Not because we're actually going to edit anything, but because I am not wanting to do any typos right now. I feel that. Yeah, I spend as much time in an IDE as I can. Uh, the only time I'm really in Vim is if I have to be. But I'm glad to know you're part of the team Vim. My coworker is one of the Nano team, and we argue about it a lot. Let's go back and find one of these commands. Chip, I'm going to steal your sandwich. If they only knew the power shortcuts for Vim, they would leave Nano so fast. All right, so it is officially deployed. Hi, Dahlia. How are you? We've all been there, though, Ace. At least once. At least once we've forgotten how to get back out of it, right? How are you, Dahlia? And, oh, wow. We're just showing all kinds of fun stuff today. Close that. All right. So now if we go to your HTTPS. Can I type? You bought the lighthouse? That is awesome. How are you liking it? Oh, I don't want to show you my Jira. But yeah, we can actually go to purplefaztrivia.com port 8080/sandwich if you want to put all of those parameters in manually, and you could build your sandwich in your browser. I personally would recommend doing it in here, just because you don't have to build out all the parameters by hand. Yeah, so that I do it through Firebot. I have auto shoutouts, and then I have walk-ons as well that I use as auto shoutouts. So if somebody has sent me a soundbite that they would like played instead of the "Oh my God," I build them their own walk-in. That's what you'll hear when a couple of people come in. Have a good Dark Phoenix. Eventually, I'd like to get it where everybody has their own sound, just because I like everything to be personalized. It's just that's a me thing. It kind of lets me know who's coming in. But yeah, when you mentioned you were going to start streaming, Chip, when you start streaming, get with me or Roadside or any of the other wonderful streamers here, and they will. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I know myself, I will. Yeah, and that's true. It all kind of depends on what you're streaming or how you're streaming. If you're doing one or two PC, I think a lot of people are using Firebot. Can't speak for everybody, but if you do switch to PC streaming and want to set up Firebot, I know I would be more than willing to help you. All you have to do is hit me up. And what I don't know, we'll learn together. Not be streaming mobile. Okay. Yeah, if you're going to do PC, just like I said, if you want some help, let me know. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know if you show a lot of support in the community. This community, especially the horror community, can be extremely helpful. Just make sure you're paying it back by being supportive of them as well. This community has just been absolutely amazing. Hydrate. Thank you, Tiny.
Ryan,
Hacker history.
viewer has requested some hacker history.
You can do a lot more than that. Don't even try it. But to be honest, the cement stuffs, painting stuffs, resin stuffs that she does is freaking amazing. If you have not checked out Bibity's channel, highly recommend. Lots of art. She does some horror streaming, but not gonna lie, my favorite are the art. So hacker history. Let's hold on. I want to get some dates because there's, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna have to look up the dates on this one, but we're gonna talk about WannaCry. So this is a little bit more recent than some of the other hacker history that I've done. Hey, I think we're all noobs. You know, that's kind of the fun part about streaming. We're all trying to just get better. For WannaCry, what happened with WannaCry? A NSA exploit that was being held as a 0-day called Eternal Blue was leaked, and because of how effective this exploit was, a ransomware creator created WannaCry. It was a crypto worm. Basically, it went through computers through the Eternal Blue exploit, and because of how that exploit worked, it was able to infect a large amount of computers in one go. So if I was to use the Eternal Blue exploit on your network, I would gain access to your network. I would install WannaCry, and Eternal Blue and WannaCry working together would actually go through your entire network, whether that be 2 computers or thousands. It was the largest cyber attack at that point. It caused an insane amount of damage and cost a lot of people a lot of money. The group that released it was the Shadow Brokers, and they are, we'll say they're still in operation. If you want some more information about WannaCry, I have reviewed this article a million times because this is one of my favorite. Yes, Eternal Blue was the SMB buffer overflow. And if you guys come over on tomorrow, we may talk a little bit about buffer overflows. Because that's going to be a really interesting topic, and tomorrow's streams are focused on cyber security instead of programming. Normally, we'll start with something a little basic. To me, buffer overflows, people make them out to be harder than they are. Creating the exploit for a buffer overflow can be difficult, but the concept of a buffer overflow is not as difficult as people make it out to be. I promise this link is safe. You will never get a link from me that isn't. But I also defang all links that I send in chat that aren't to something that I have personally created. So give me 1 second and we will send a sanitized link to an article about... Oh, I am a crime junkie too. And there will definitely be lots of talk about cybercrime, especially tomorrow. But yeah, actually, one of my favorite crime topics, if you will, is things like Ted Bundy. Not particularly him, but those types of criminals. Trying to avoid certain words because I don't know Twitch's TOS on that. But I think the psychology of that is very interesting. Roadside is an absolute crime junkie. That's fair. Here is a defanged link if you want to read more about the WannaCry ransomware attack. But that's basically what I've got for hacker history. It's good to know my sound alert actually worked this time. Yeah, for sure, Tiny. Tomorrow, again, we'll definitely do some... There will be some hacker history for free without a point review, just because some of the stuff I want to talk about tomorrow is going to go into cybercrime. But yeah, Rhodes, since you're back, we'll show you what we finished up while you were doing your lurk. I just have to find somebody's sandwich to steal. Do. Yeah, I'm still in lunches again. Oh, I can't find any. I actually have to type one out. Oh, so terrible. Piece. Food preserves. I'm gonna stick to something simple. Yes, no NA. Am I gonna break my own command? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should work. Yes, I am gonna break my own command because I don't know how to type. Yep. Anyway, Roadside, you can see it. We got the API implemented to build the sandwiches. Chat has done so much better of a job of actually using it than I have. And it is deployed alongside of your API. For anybody, I have not fixed mine yet, but I can fix it really quick. Uh-oh. See, that should have worked. So what's happened is when we moved it into the server, I've done something wrong. No, you didn't break it. I broke it. We're gonna see what I've done. I guarantee you I've typed that password wrong. Did I put that at the top? I know what I did wrong. There is a very important piece of code that we forgot to, or I say we like you guys forgot to copy and paste anything. We need this. Yeah, completely forgot that it might actually need the class. No, this is PowerShell. Oh, this is going to be fun. No, nope. Nope. We're going to do something different. We're going to see how many times I can forget how to use SCP. Think I actually got it right for once. And I couldn't remember what the name of this directory was, but that's fine. And bam, app.py. Let's see if we can actually use this now. There we go. Yeah, I agree, Ace. That was a pretty important piece of code. Yeah, there you go, Roadset. It actually works. Of course you did. To be fair, I'm busy trying to figure out if I'm SSH'd into something or not. But yeah, so the next time we do the programming stream, which will be Sunday, we're going to actually implement this in the Discord bot as well. just because as we've seen all these different fun things, I want to start tying them back together. Eventually. And we can actually close down this server and the commands will still work because now it's deployed where it's supposed to be. But yeah, so now, and like I said, I'm going to leave this command up. You guys are more than welcome to play with this as much as you want. Okay, so let me ask an honest question. I'm going to do something I normally don't do on stream. I'm going to smoke a cigarette. Is machine learning of interest to anybody in chat? We can start. We can start doing it. We've learned enough. This guy, okay. We've learned enough so far that we could start delving into a little bit of machine learning. That is what my doctorate focus is in, so it's definitely a topic near and dear to my heart. That's fair. He can throw muscle around every once in a while. But yeah, if it's an interest, we will definitely tackle it. I could start to show. We'd probably start with a basic. I don't want to do photo generation because I don't particularly care for photo generation. Not because it's not a neat technology, but because people are using it for bad things, like trying to put artists out of work, and I don't like that. If we do anything, it'll be neural networks. Yeah. We'll probably go 2 or 3 more streams doing a little bit more basic stuff, and then we can move into that. Like, neat. Don't know that reference. Noah. Roadside. Whichever one you want me to call you. Sorry. We'll probably start with something a little more basic. But yes, eventually, if we're going to move into machine learning, we can get to that point. I would probably want to start off with some very simple. Maybe we could do a GAN. Yeah, send me a link. Yeah, I'll check it out because, again, my doctoral thesis is UBA, which is user behavior analysis, done through machine learning, and basically how can we speed up the training process. So again, machine learning, very near and dear to my heart. Wasn't necessarily a topic I thought we were going to get to on here, but we can do it. I think, again, Sunday, we'll probably implement our sandwiches into Discord, mainly because there's some cool things that we're going to use in a Discord bot that we're not using here or other places, such as await commands, things like that. Plus, we could teach an AI to make a sandwich. We absolutely could. If we wanted to continue with the general PB&J theme, or if we're going to use AI, we probably want to give it an option to build more than just PB&J. I'd be perfectly fine with that. It'll be fun to show, because a lot of people get very worried when they hear API or AI. API. Hold on, let me see. We're gonna keep this one away from the Faz devs, but there was a stream I was planning on doing for one of the Fridays until I realized maybe not the best idea. And oh no. We can do all the AIs and APIs that we want. Let me see if I can find this picture. So you were asking about AIs and Faz. This is not AI, but this is reverse engineering. This is a debugger. And if you look in this corner, you may not be able to see it, but it says phasmophobia.exe. Yeah, I know. I promised I wouldn't show it, Ace, but if it helps any, this is actually 64-bit ASM. But yeah, when I said that I occasionally at my job I have to get into assembly, it's normally doing something like this, or I'm building custom shellcode. But yeah, this was me playing with Faz to see kind of how they were doing some of the things they were doing. Found some really cool methods they were using to store the randomized ghosts, and the way that they're doing it is really intuitive for anti-cheat. But you know, we don't want to kill Ace with too much assembly. But yeah, to answer your question, Chip, technically, if I could figure out how to reverse engineer it enough, we could probably do a pretty quick AI to play Faz for us. Have to be really careful because it's questionable about how far you can go into reverse engineering before you step out of terms of service. No, if I have to write assembly by scratch, I'm not a happy camper, Ace. It's very rare that I have to. Normally, I let other things write it for me. But I don't want to get started on anything new. But since we are talking about assembly a little bit, if I can get Firefox to do what I want it to do. This is the hacker in me coming out. Here's some more for you, Ace. This is straight x86 assembly. Um, it is generated by a disassembler that I wrote in Python. So when people tell you that Python can't get low level, it can. It can get low level. You just have to know what you're looking for. But yeah, this is the L file that I used to disassemble. There's some C code that I wrote so that I would have something to disassemble. Yeah, this was a fun project. I wanted to see if I could do it, and it was all because of something like this. This was a reverse engineering challenge for a CTF, and I wanted to build my own tool because I wasn't happy with the tools I was using. And actually, this is not from the C code that I wrote. This is the assembly for the actual challenge. So I don't remember what we were trying to do. I'd imagine there's something in here that you have to look for that says flag. It's taking some standard in. Probably doing some kind of password comparison. Give me a string if your string matches. Yeah, it's something I love doing. I love getting to a point where instead of trying to manually or use somebody else's tool, I can just say, no, this is how I want my output to look. I did this one, that's probably been 4 or 5 years ago. So my Python was not the cleanest, and I think it's actually written in Python 2. So it's about 4 years ago was the last time I did a commit to it. You can check and see. No, it's Python 3. But yeah, that's kind of the cool thing about learning these programming languages. Eventually, you just start building tools to do something that you don't want to have to do. But I think instead of going into something new, let's go ahead and do our yeah, that's I definitely have considered doing some things like that. Just because ciphers are a pain in the butt. Especially Cypher online Cypher challenges. There's half the time they're so CTF, it's just ridiculous. That's where we all start. I've actually got a tool like that. I call it my CTF solver. Cryptography. That is something that is going to be covered on Fridays for sure. Because you cannot talk about cybersecurity without talking about cryptography. If you do, you're not doing justice to the topic. I don't think I need to set the... Yeah, that'd be fun. Again, it's something we could totally do. Hey, Road. Do you mind helping me find a raid target? Because we're going to go ahead and cut out for the night. And I don't want to display all the... You've got one? Cool. Do you want to just go ahead and do the command? Again, while Road's getting that prepared, thank you everybody for hanging out. Thanks for all the good talk. Thank you for all the support that you've given me. If you happen to stop by tomorrow, again, we'll be doing Cybersecurity 101. Yeah, from there, we will do some more programming on Sunday. And once again, I really appreciate everybody coming in, and I know it's been a while since this channel's gone live. We're going to work on that. We're going to get back to the schedule that's on the channel. So thank you again, and please stick around for the raid. We're going to Mighty Chingus, which is a amazing streamer from the Midnight Society stream team. If you haven't checked them out, please make sure to drop in and drop a follow and have a good time, because Chingus can be a lot of fun. Again, thank you all. We'll have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time.